Welcome to the Hypothalamic Amenorrhea podcast. I'm Dani Sheriff, your host, certified fertility awareness practitioner, functional nutrition counselor, and founder of the HA Society, and of course, an HA recovery coach who has walked where you currently are walking. This is the place to come if you care about getting your period regularly. This podcast aims to educate, inform, and keep you motivated on your period and HA recovery track. So let's dive in. But last thing, nothing on the show should be taken as medical advice, so please seek the advice of your physician. Are you listening to this show hoping to get some golden nuggets to help you on your way to recovery? Well, great. I hope that you find them because that is exactly what this show is for. But if you really want to take your recovery all the way, completely commit and get on track with your goals, whether they be finally feeling overall healthy, finally getting pregnant, or finally getting back to training, you'll want to join us inside of the HA Society. Not only is this the perfect community to ask questions and get your support and the accountability that you so often need during these uphill battles with body image and understanding nutrition and incorporating exercise, but it's also a hub of exclusive resources for HAs. All of the HA podcast episodes are released in advance and completely ad-free, so you can listen on the go to the raw, unedited versions uninterrupted. All of the one-on-one coaching calls, of which we have 2 a week in different time zones, are uploaded to our private podcast feed so that you can listen to events with practitioners and the past community calls as though they were bonus podcast episodes, because I know how much you love to listen to this kind of stuff. And in these calls, we cover requested topics like overcoming the weight gain fears, communicating with friends and family about our HA, diving into how HA works, and debunking the imposter syndrome that so many of us have around this diagnosis. There's also an entire resources section with lectures, workshops, and training from the past events that are hosted by experts like Sarah Liz King, Laura Lyons, Kaylee McDevitt, Holly Dunn, and many more. As a member, you also get direct access to myself and Coach Ashley in the DMs. So if you have personal questions or need individualized advice about your recovery, we're in there answering your questions in the DMs, as are all of our other members in the group who impress me week after week with how they show up for each other. It's incredible. It's like women are just all becoming mini coaches for each other. It's so good. The HA Society is really the place to be if you're going through recovery, no matter what stage you're at. Whether you have HA or you've got a few recovery periods, we have your back and we're all your new best friends. So come and meet us at thehasociety.com/join. That's thehasociety.com/join, and the link is in the show notes for you. Okay, on with the show.
Okay, so welcome back to the Hypothalamic Amenorrhea podcast. This is your co-host, Ashley, flying solo, kind of, except for that I brought on a very special guest. She is actually one of my OG clients. I mean, I think I definitely had clients before, and not that it wasn't special or unique, but I feel like she might have been the first batch of clients who we helped get pregnant. And what's so interesting is that Dani and I didn't set out to be like, and then we're going to help women get pregnant. It was just something really cool and like an added bonus that we had the opportunity to do, and then more and more, and then more and more. And so I just thought it was really important that we pause and go all the way back to the beginning. So let me introduce you to Kristan Lee. How are you, babe?
Hi. I'm good. How are you?
Okay, so let's dive in. She and I were just talking about how it feels like it's been ages ago, but it really hasn't. But let's just be real. 1 month in HA like time frame feels like 2 years, right? So
100%.
yeah. Okay, so I kind of just want to get your backstory. How did you even find the HA Society back then?
I think honestly, I was just doing a lot of Googling, and I feel like sounds like a broken record, but I found Stephanie Buttermore, and she was like, she was the first
Yeah.
person I found that talked about it. And I was like, so this is a thing.
So let's
And
just
then,
pause. I found her as well. And it was like, I know some people have like thoughts about her. I don't know. I feel like we try to like not be super judgmental. But I found her story super helpful. Super helpful. I just needed to see a live person recovering. But anyways, but yes, go ahead.
yeah, and I mean, like she put it all out there, like the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I feel like that really showed me like I'm not the only person to go through this. It's just not a lot of people talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I basically just started looking through like hashtags and women with those stories, and I came across Dani's art. And that was how I found the HA Society. And I was like, okay. And like just seeing the interaction, and I'm like super, I'm an artsy person, so that's kind of what drew me to that first of all. And then just like seeing how she was discussing it and bringing girls in, I was super drawn to that, and it more being so like a community rather than it just being like one person just spewing out information, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to let Dani. I feel Dani hasn't taken a break from art. I just think that was her way of like expressing herself during that time, and so she's in a different season. But I'm gonna have to be like, Dani, bring back the art, bring what I mean, bring it back, because I love it as well too, right? Like I'm always like, yes, I want to see more like normal individual like size. I guess y'all, I'm late to the party, but there's something called mid-size. I don't, I don't know. Anyways, let's not get too distracted. Okay. So then you found the HA Society, and then we got paired up. And so and I'm just so pumped that I got to be your coach and just watch this whole thing. But I kind of, if like we can put ourselves back there, what led to you developing HA?
So it all started, I'll say, when I met my husband. Like our thing was going to the gym. That was like our
Mhm.
big thing. And at the time we were dating, and I had been stuck in a plateau for, I swear, it felt like an eternity. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to count calories and I'm going to beat this thing. And so I got really like, deep down into counting calories, and it got to like an unhealthy point where I was working out 6, 7 days a week, and I refused to like exceed my macros or
Mm,
exceed my
mhm.
calories. And it, coincidentally enough, we had gotten engaged, and that weekend I was supposed to start my period, and it never came. And so I was like, oh my gosh, we're engaged and now I'm pregnant. Like I was freaking out. So that was like the first month that I found out like I didn't have a period and it had skipped. But then obviously I came to realize I wasn't pregnant. But then after that, I had still continued to, work out and diet, and it just never came back.
So you were
So
like, oh, look at me. I'm so lucky. Look at me. I got pregnant. You know what I mean? Like, I guess, like, here's the thing.
I didn't like, I thought that was the only way you couldn't have a period. I had no idea
True.
that HA was a thing.
True. I mean, Dani's been, I think she had put out a reel about how it's a little bit concerning if you skip your cycle, and that's not alarming to you. Not like, okay, whatever, but where you're like, if like you accidentally wind up pregnant, that means you haven't had a cycle for a really long time. And that means, you mean that it's been normalized. Anyways, I mean, I think I normalized not having a cycle simply because all the doctors told me that it was normal and it was okay and whatever. But I love that your immediate thought was, oh, like I must be pregnant, right? Because that's kind of what you would, because you had been cycling up until that, correct?
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you're engaged, not pregnant, not pregnant. And then I feel like if I remember correctly, you had the wedding and then you started to work with us because you really wanted to start a family. Is that correct?
Mhm.
Or
Yeah, that's correct.
okay, so you kind of were like, look here, I'm ready to do the thing because I like want a baby, like really bad. So
Yeah.
walk us through that. Like, what did that feel like reaching out for help? Like, because at that point we kind of have to, I'm sure you're having to navigate thoughts of like infertility.
Yeah, that was my biggest concern. Like my husband and I were like, we're gonna wait a year and have babies, but then we got married and we were like, no, we want babies now. And then, like how silly of us. But it was just that was like a big concern of mine because I was like, well, I guess, I probably should get my cycle back first. And what if I can't get my cycle back, or how long is this gonna take, kind of thing. So I felt like I tried to navigate it as much myself as I could. Like the first thing I did was I went to my doctor and got my levels checked.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing, it was nice to do that. And I was like, okay, now I know my levels, but I have no idea what any of this means.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
like, I don't know, is that a good thing? Is that they don't really like explain the numbers to you.
Mm-hmm.
But the first thing that they did was they gave me a pill that I had to take for a week to start my period, and now I can't remember the name.
Was that Provera? Like they did the Provera challenge?
Yes, that's exactly what they did. And so I was like, my period's gonna come. I'm so excited. I literally was like counting down the days for my period to start, and then it never came. I was like,
yeah.
wait, what? Like I thought this was supposed to work. And so once that didn't work, they wanted to do a bunch of other things, but in my heart, like I had to sit on it, pray on it, and then I came to that realization, like I want to do this the natural way. Like I don't want this, and everyone goes about it their own way, but like for me, I just wanted to go as natural as possible, and I wanted to kind of challenge my body to, restart on its own.
Yeah, because if I remember correctly, like your cycle wasn't missing that long. It's not like you were able to normalize not having a cycle for like 5 years, like me.
Yeah, no, it wasn't that long.
Yeah, no. So I feel like it was like about 6 months, or I could be off. How long did you not have a cycle?
So I lost it in September of 2019.
I
And
know. I'm gonna have to look back on the stats because I have it somewhere. But it wasn't very long. It was not very long for like a long time. I'm looking back on my Instagram because I'm pretty sure I shared your story. Okay. And then that's when we started the process of recovery. And I remember I do feel like for you, it was one of those things that kept you going when things got really, really hard. But each month that your cycle didn't return, obviously, because like we were doing like the deep work, what was that knowing that you're like, I'm doing this to get pregnant? Like, what's going on?
it was really, like, honestly, it was really, really hard. And I know it's so challenging because it feels like recovery takes forever. And even for me, it was only, I think we did coaching for 3 months before I got my period.
Yeah.
But just 3 months felt like forever. But I think what really helped me get through it was, hearing other women's stories, and seeing that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And also like just little things that we would do as far as like, well, can I say this? Like, tracking cervical mucus.
Oh
And
yeah,
LH
girl, say it
testing.
all. Oh yeah.
And
I mean, girl, we talk about everything.
so it's like, when you start seeing those like sorts of signs, even those are little like, lights at the end of the tunnel. So it was just feeling that and not feeling cold all the time, and like having more energy and not having to stress about, oh wait, can I not eat this today? So it was like those things helped me keep going because it relieved a lot of stress in my life. But you also, like, the community and you and my family, my support system helped me navigate through those times where it wasn't so easy.
Yeah.
So
Okay. So I found her stats, guys. She had HA for a year and 5 months. A year and 5 months. And she is right. Like after 3 months of working together, she did get her cycle back. But I remember those 3 months felt really long to you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I think and I think that's something that it's so interesting because like whenever I recovered, like I didn't have that motivation because I wanted, to get pregnant, right? So I was willing to take longer because it just wasn't a drive. I do find that when I'm working with women who like have this internal drive, they're like, it's so primal that like there's no stopping it. It's like, I will conceive and birth a child. It's so primal that I'm like, what? You know what I mean? It's just I mean, I think everyone who's like listening, whose journey is because they want to get pregnant can relate that it's just the most primal thing. So from the very beginning, I do remember it was something that we had to like not get discouraged by that was the goal, even if that first month, second month, or third month, or, leading up to the third month, just because you didn't see ovulation or just because you didn't bleed does not mean that this is officially off the table.
Right.
That is, so what was the biggest change? I mean, I know that we say like, what is the biggest change? But I also tend to find that it could be a lot of small changes, but what was like the thing I like to ask that like you finally let go of that allowed you to recover? So step one, ovulate.
Yeah. The one thing I had to let go was wanting to be able to keep my smaller body and have a period. Because, I mean, it took me a while to achieve that body, and I was so, like, it's so twisted. I was so proud of it because I had reached a lot of the goals, but at the same time, I was, like, probably my most unhappy when I was in my smallest body. So I had to just, like, come to that realization of, even when I was at my smallest, at my most fit, like, most lean, you weren't even, like, happy, smiles every single day. You were miserable, you were hungry. And so what's preventing you from just like letting that go? Like snap out of it kind of thing. So once I could let that go and just allow myself to recover and not control everything, especially when it comes to food, especially when it comes to exercise, and I let control of that go, it allowed me to recover a lot faster, I feel like.
And I feel like sometimes like we can talk about and then I just let go. But this was like a slow prying from your hands from day one. Like I feel like that would be accurate, you know what I mean? To be like this was, it wasn't that she just woke up one day and was like, yeah, I just like don't care anymore, guys. It was day after day after day of trying to hold on to it and finally being like, screw it, I've already gained weight anyways, because that was a really big thing for you because you did come from a very fit, lean, and what everyone would say would be healthy. So I'm sure nobody even suspected that you were struggling with infertility because you quote unquote looked so healthy.
Right. Exactly.
And I even remember, I feel like you mentioned like your mom was like, I never struggled with this, so I don't know how to help you. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why you're not ovulating, type of thing. Tell us a little bit about that, about how like it can almost feel really strange to be the only person in your circle group not able to conceive.
You guys, we have partnered up with the incredible skincare app Lovely. So check this out. My particular skin issues, if you will, are that I have huge pores and I get fluid kind of build up in my face, and I've never really known how to process it out of my face or that there was anything I could do about it at all. I thought it was just bloating, and I can tell you that this is something that is really common in the HA society, and well, we see in clients as well all of the time, and that's why I wanted to share this with you. The Lovely app helped me develop a custom face yoga and massage plan to tackle these fluid buildup issues and my enlarged pore issues. And I can't actually believe how well it worked. So when we finally found Lovely, an all-in-one holistic self-care app with face yoga being at its core, we jumped on the opportunity to partner up with them. In fact, it was a recovered HAer, so one of you who listened to the show, who reached out representing the brand, which means they represent our amazing listeners as well. So I thought that this is perfect. Now let me tell you about Lovely. Lovely, spelled Luvly, lets you get personalized face yoga and skincare programs tailored to your needs and goals. They help you learn facial massages and gua sha massages to help reduce tension, promote blood flow, and boost collagen production. They let you explore anti-stress tools such as breathing and mindfulness exercises to improve your mental health and well-being. So if you're not already using a mental health app, this is an all-in-one for you. And they let you enjoy personalized meal ideas for healthy and glowing skin based on your dietary preferences. That's awesome. When I tried out Lovely for the first time, I was blown away. I felt like I was doing a full-on skin routine that involved 0 products being used on my face other than my favorite moisturizer. I saw a difference in my skin tone and even the elasticity in my face. I had dealt with the drainage and blotchiness issues completely, and I had no idea that I could even deal with that. I had this whole story about my skin, and I just realized in the end that all I needed to do was get on top of a face yoga routine. So the reason I love this app for you is because it's a way for you to create a routine in your life and still have a quote-unquote workout that is actually serving you in any season of your life. So if you're still learning how to relax after a long day with a different approach to your previous stress relief strategies, you know who you are. There's nothing quite like winding down with a relaxing evening routine. And what better way to look after yourself than with Lovely's face yoga and mindful skincare routine? It's my current mommy alone time situation. So before you rush to try this app, here's something really cool. You don't just log in and start doing workouts for your face. They have created a quick quiz just for listeners of the HA podcast that will build a specific plan just for you based on your specific skin challenges and goals. So this is the best part. When you do the quiz, it doesn't take very long. You just answer a bunch of questions about your skin and statements you believe are true about your skin, and it will generate a plan for you with a code that you can then apply to the app that will not only load it into the app for you, but also provide 50% off of your membership. So this is just for the listeners of the HA podcast. To find the quiz, go to lovely.thehasociety.com. This customized plan feature has made my specific skin goals improve so much, so the quiz is non-negotiable. And remember, do the quiz anyways if you want the 50% off of the plan and the whole app. It's worth it. It is key to your skin success. So unleash your inner beauty and nurture your beauty and confidence from within, y'all. Take a moment for your me time and enjoy your beauty journey during a time where your body composition goals are not able to be your number one baby. So take the quiz, get the discount, go to lovely, lovely.thehasociety.com. That's lovely.thehasociety.com.
Yeah, so if if you guys saw me, I'm like a 5'5", I guess mid-sized white girl, but the women in my family are like 5 foot, if that, and Asian. So they're all very tiny and petite and can conceive children like it's, the easiest thing on earth. And so for them, it's like my grandma has she has 4 children. My mom has 2 children. Everyone in our family, conceived the first time they tried. So there was no one for me to really talk to because for them it was so easy. And because I may have been like the smallest for myself at that time, but for them, they're way tinier than I am. So it didn't like make sense to them how they could be smaller than me but still make babies. You know, and
they're like, what's wrong with you?
I'm like, I don't know. So that was really, really hard for me, because it does make you feel like when you're the only woman in your family to have it, you know, struggle with conceiving children. It's like, well, what's wrong with me? You know, and it's really isolating. And then you just don't really want to talk to them about it, because it's hard for them to understand, you know, and couldn't expect them to, but it is hard. And especially when all your friends and stuff are having babies too. That's like the icing on the cake sometimes. But
yeah, and even just to speak to that you're potentially, which may or may not be true because we actually don't know people's story, right? So that's a whole other thing. But at least in your immediate family group, you're potentially the only one that had to gain weight to be able to conceive, and everybody was just like popping off, you know what I mean? Like not even having to try, which can feel like very, I do remember that there was very moments of like, but why do I have to do this? Nobody else in my family has had to do this. And just for the people out there, because I just feel like numbers are helpful. We're the very few podcasts that does talk about numbers. But again, the reason why we do is because if Dani would have never shared her numbers, I would have been still with being like, my 1,800 calories are just fine. There's nothing wrong with me. You know what I mean? And so when Dani shared what she was eating and how she developed HA, it stopped me in my tracks, and I had to reevaluate that it is possible that I had it too, simply because she did share numbers. So how much total weight? I mean, I know that you had been trying before we started to work together on like recovery, but from the moment of like the depths of your HA to conceiving, how much weight did you have to gain?
30 pounds.
Yeah. So I love that you said that, because I was trying to say that to somebody today on a call, and she was just like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I'm like, I know, I felt that too. So had you known that you had to gain 30 pounds from the beginning, do you think you would have?
Probably not. I mean, like, I literally, if someone would have told me like, you have to gain 30 pounds, I don't think I would have been like, oh, yay, like, eat whatever I want. I would have been terrified, because, I mean, for a lot of women, you know, we struggle with how we look. So to be told that you're going to be in this new body is like, what?
And so, you know, I also think, and let's just kind of break this down to a PS, y'all, I did have to gain 30 pounds to restore my cycle. So there's that, you know, that's actually not an uncommon number. A lot of women have to gain 30 pounds. So when I say a healthy amount of weight, what number just automatically popped in your head right now?
If I think like a healthy, like 15, it's like.
Me too. I think 15 too. Absolutely. Okay. So, you know, like my whole point in saying that, guys, is that is the problem, is that whenever we listen to other fertility podcasts, and I'm not saying that everyone has to gain 30 pounds or that you have to brace yourself to gain 30 pounds, but I do want to show that anytime that we talk about that there does need to be some healthy weight gain, I want you to see, even though she and I are recovered, it is programmed in us that like, oh, 15 pounds is healthy. But had she and I only gained 15 pounds, we would still be in HA. And I think that's wild. You know what I mean? So I do think that there's a merit, like there's some merit to like not knowing how much you're going to have to gain, because you probably wouldn't ever do it. I know I wouldn't have. I'd be like, absolutely not. You're crazy. There must be another way. There's something else I haven't tried. Like maybe that's true for you, but it's not true for me. I mean, to the point where I'm about positive I would have like gone in some like mental hole where I was like, that's true for you, but can't be true for me.
Yeah, I'm the exception. Okay.
I'm the unicorn, guys. Get off me.
Exactly.
Right. So what did it feel like to be 30 pounds up? And obviously everything started to turn back on. Estrogen, FSH, LH, progesterone, cervical mucus, sex drive, you know what I mean? Emotions came back. No. P.S. You got to tell the people. Tell the people.
Oh my
So good.
gosh.
Okay,
I
so
still remember
on emotions. Tell the people about your emotions turning on.
it was just like one day randomly. I told my husband I loved him and could just not stop crying. And I just remember being like, what in the world is wrong with me? Like, why am I crying? All I'm saying is I love you. And I told Ashley, I was like, there is something going on. There's something wrong.
I'm pretty sure you started shortly after. I'm pretty sure you started your period shortly after. I was like, I don't. All I could do was laugh with her, like like we were rolling laughing. What did your husband say? Like, was he like, okay, love you too? I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, he's just like, okay, I love you. I'm just gonna leave you be, okay?
Can we just give a shout out to all the supportive people who are with you in your journey as you regain emotions, hormones, all the things, like, oh my gosh. Okay. Yes, when emotions turn back on. Okay. Then I will have to say, I don't think it was very long after that you were pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
Was it like the month after? Y'all, this has been.
So I think I had my period in January and I had my second one in February, and then
Mhm.
I got pregnant in March.
There we go. Okay. So then so then on like your third cycle, you
Mm-hmm.
were able to get pregnant. My goodness. Now, were you like actively trying? So like just setting this up for the people, you know what I mean? Obviously, like we would go through your chart, we would look at your fertile window. Were you guys planning on, or was this like your sex drive got the best of you?
No, we were trying. We were like actively trying, and I was, we were tracking and everything like that. So yeah.
Wild. I just love that. And I mean, you are postpartum, you have your baby,
Mhm.
and your cycle has returned. And so I'm just pumped that you're able to like use everything that like we chatted about, even like after. Like this isn't just like, oh, here, just get your cycle back and have no idea what to do.
Yeah. It's honestly, recovery helped me so much. It's like more than just recovering, especially for women who are trying to get pregnant. It helps you through, postpartum, through, that's a challenge in itself. The body image,
Mhm.
struggles with that. And then, I mean, after, if you're not breastfeeding, like, you're trying to get your period back, or once you're done breastfeeding, getting your period back, it gives you all these tools, and it's like, yes, I know what to do. I've done this before, kind of thing.
Yeah, you're like, this isn't the first time my period's been missing, but although it's a different reason, I know, like I actually know what to do.
Mhm, exactly.
Yeah, I just love it. So, I mean, I just love sharing stories just because I'm sure at one point you went from this place of feeling like I'm infertile. What do I do? Did you ever, and not, I mean, Dani and I are not anti-IUI or IVF or anything like that, but had that ever crossed your mind? Or were you like, absolutely not? I know I've cycled before, I can get back to it.
I had never considered it. I just thought, like, I'm gonna give myself, time. I'm not gonna put
Mhm.
that pressure on myself. Like, I knew I wanted a family, but I wanted my body to do what it needed to do, and I just had faith that it could do it one day. So
Yeah. I mean, so thankfully, like your cycle wasn't missing like too long. Yeah. I mean, not that that prevents anybody from recovering, but I do think that we normalize it. And the longer we don't have our cycle, the more we accept that that is just how our body is, that our body forgot how to ovulate, just kind of all those things. And so I do feel like the quicker somebody can find us, start coaching, start HA recovery, you know what I mean? Ideally, I feel like if people can get to us like at the 3-month mark, it's really awesome, because it's like, no. You were just ovulating 3 months ago. There's no entertaining that your body forgot how to ovulate. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, they
Yeah.
can do it.
Definitely.
The sooner you catch it, the better. But like, there's no harm in trying, no matter how long you've gone without your period. Just, screw it. What do you have to lose? You already don't have it. So at least try to do it yourself,
Yeah. And think about, at the height of HA, you're feeling so crazy anyways. Like, because I think once you learn that you have HA, there's no going back. It's not like you can stick your head back in the sand of ignorance of, you know what I mean? Because I do remember being like, Dani, I wish I just didn't know anything so I could just get back on the pill and just go like live my life. You know what I mean? But really what I wanted was, I just didn't want to address any of the things that were actually in my power to address, Ugh.
Yeah.
Okay, so what would you say to somebody who's on their fertility journey? It doesn't have to be super deep, but what was maybe something that like you kept in mind, or maybe that you kept telling yourself in your fertility?
I would just say, don't give up even when it gets hard, because it's so easy to like give in to those feelings of, it's never going to happen, or, it's kind of like self-loathing and all that stuff. You just keep going, like, because when it gets so hard and so ugly, what happened for me is that's when I was like just on the verge of getting my period.
That's
I feel like,
true.
yeah, you're like in the depths of it and like hating all things about everything, and then it's like, oh, that's why your period's
Yeah.
back. So
Yeah, I do remember. I feel like you were at that pivotal point. Not saying that you were going to quit, but everyone who's on the HA journey is like, I think I'm just going to quit. Like, I just don't, you know what I mean? Because it was like the 30 pounds, you're like, how much more? What else do I have to do? And that's so true that like, they're actually, if you have true HA, which most of y'all will know, you know what I mean? There is no evidence that you can't restore ovulation. You know what I mean? And so, yeah.
and
I
like,
just love it.
as hard and ugly as it is, like, I look back on that time now, so I'm like, it feels like forever ago, but it's just all of my time, energy, and like mind power was focused into recovering my period, that I feel like I let life pass me by in a way. So it's like, as
So
much as
true.
HA is a part of your life and you're trying to restore this, don't make it be your life. You know what I mean? Because your life is so much more than that.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
you got to
Look,
kind of shift it.
yeah, like, we're clearly passionate about ovulating, but that's not your sole purpose in life. Like, you're supposed to live your life and ovulate. I've been saying this all the time. Live your life and ovulate. Just go live your life and ovulate. Like, that is, we don't want anyone ever graduating from our programs or anything like that being so obsessed with ovulation that they stop living their life. You know what I mean? And like, recovery can feel that way, right? Where you're like, it's so all encompassing. And yeah, so I think that I love that, because you're right. You can get so caught up in it that like life really is passing you by, because you've like hid from the world, and you're like over consuming HA content, reading studies, stuff like that,
Yes, delete Google.
Yeah, right. Oh, okay, lady. Thank you for sharing your story. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. It was so good to go down memory lane. And y'all, I know that it could feel like, looking back on her story, that it was really easy. And just know that she was there too. Like, she was in the depths of it too, feeling super puffy, feeling really uncomfortable in her body, going through all the things, and she made it out on the other side. So, well, thank you for joining us. Love it. I'll get this posted for all the people to hear. But yeah.
Of course.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening today, guys. please subscribe to the podcast, and if you could head to iTunes specifically and leave a rating or review, that would help so much because it makes it easier for other people with HA who are Googling around to find the podcast really easily. So if you do that, you're doing a service to all of the women